Hi YouTube, Tim Unkert from UnkertEducation.com here. In this video we're going to talk about integers and floats in Python, and I'm going to show you how different arithmetic operations in Python handle integers and floats. But first, if you like videos like this where I show you how to code in different programming languages, or videos where I show you how to install and set up software, make sure to subscribe. Okay, with that out of the way, let's get started. So first off, I'm going to create a Python file here, and I'm going to call it ints underscore and underscore floats.py. Okay, and the first thing I'm going to do, in some of our previous videos where I showed you how to set up like VS Code I'm using here for Python, I showed you how to print a string. But what we're going to do now is we're going to print the type of a number, and we use a function called type. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do print type, and then we'll do 3, and then we'll print type and do 3.14. And I'm going to go up to this little play button here that I showed you how to set up in a previous video. Check that one out. And I'll run that. And if you look down here, we get the output. The first one is a class of type int. The second one is a class of type float. Okay, so this is an integer, and I'm going to make a comment here with the hashtag. This is an integer, okay? And then this is a float, okay? All right, so let's see how arithmetic is handled with integers and floats. So let's first start with addition. So we'll start off, and the numbers I like to use are usually 10 and 3. So we're going to do the type of 10 plus 3. What does that yield? Okay, and then I also want to try printing the type of 10.0 plus 3. Okay, so an integer, or sorry, a float plus an integer. What is that output? Okay, so let's run this. And we see the first one here is a type of integer. So this is an integer, okay? And this one here is a float, because when you add a float and an integer, the result is going to be a float, okay? Now let's try subtraction, okay? So subtraction, let's print the type of 10 minus 3 first to start, and we'll also print the type of 10 minus 3.0. Okay, so an integer subtracting a float, okay? And let's run this again. And for the first one, shouldn't be that surprising, but we get the type integer. The second one, we get the type float, okay? Makes sense. Let's move now to multiplication. And you notice I'm making these comments with the hashtag. You can make comments with hashtags here in Python. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to print type of 10, and we use the asterisk for multiplication, so 10 times 3. We'll print the type of 10.0 times, let's do 3.0. And let's actually print the products as well. So let's print not just the type, but what does this equal? So 10 times 3, and then print 10.0 times 3.0, okay? What are the differences? So let's run this now. And we notice here we get the first one, 2 integers multiplied together is an integer. A float and an integer multiplied together, or 2 floats multiplied together, will give you a float. And then the result is as expected. So let me put this stuff down. So we have an integer here. Okay, this is a float. This result is an integer, which is 30, 10 times 3, that makes sense. And this one here, the result is a float, which is 30.0. Okay, so it has that decimal. The float has the decimal to it, okay? Now, division is where it gets interesting, okay? Because each language handles division a little bit differently. So first off, what I want to do is I want to print the type of 10, and we use a slash for division, so 10 divided by 3. And I also want to print the type of 9 divided by 3. Now, 10 divided by 3 is normally 3.3 repeating. 9 divided by 3 is typically 3. So you might expect to have a float and then an integer, but let's see, okay? And we actually get both float. So when you do regular division in Python, you get both floats, okay? All right, now let's continue to mix it up a little bit. We'll print the type of now 10.0 divided by, and we're going to do double slashes here. So this is a little different, divided by 3. And let's do also print the type of, we'll do 10 /3, okay? And then we'll print the type of 9.0 /3, okay? So a few different ones. And actually, let's make this one 9 /3.0. So we'll make the second one a float. Okay, so we're going to run this. What do we get? Okay, so interestingly, we get a float here. Okay, which this second one we get an integer. Okay, interesting. And then the third one we get a float. Okay, so anytime a float is involved in any type of division, whether it's the single slash or the double slash, you're going to get back a float. But if you have two integers and you have the double slash, you have an integer division and you get back an integer. So let's actually print what these results are. So first we'll print 10.0 /3. We'll print 10 /3, and then we'll print 9 /3.0. Okay, now let's run these, and we get, for this first one here, we get 3.0. The second one, we get just 3, an integer, which makes sense because it correlates, or it aligns with this one. I don't know that correlates is a word, but apparently I was going to say it. And then this last one is 3.0 because we have one of the floats involved in the division. And even though this works out to just 9 divided by 3 is 3, it makes it a float, 3.0. Okay? So that's division, but we're not done yet. We've got a couple more things to talk about, exponentiation and the modulo operator, and see how those operate. Okay, and we're getting a little long with this stuff, so I'm just going to delete it out. And now I'm going to make a comment. Then we're going to talk about exponentiation. Okay. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to print the type of, let's first do 10 and then do double asterisks, 10 *3. And I also want to print what that result is. So 10 *3. Okay, let's run the play button now. Okay, and we get a class of integer and 1000. Okay, so two integers, it returns an integer. Okay, and then this returns 1000. So why does that return 1000? Well, 10 with two asterisks and a 3 is 10 raised to the third power. And if you know a little bit about raising 10 to a power, whatever the number is that's raised to is the number of zeros you have. So we have 1 with 3 zeros. Okay, so that's a little math trick there. Now let's do a couple ones with a float in there. So 10 *3, and we'll make 10 a float. So 10.0 *3, or to the third power. And then let's print what that actual result is as well. Okay, and let's run that. And we get a class of a float, and we get 1000.0. Okay, so if we have a float in there, we get a float. Okay, 1000.0. All right. Last thing I want to talk about is the modulo operator. It's spelled like that, and this returns the remainder of a division problem. Okay. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to first print the type, and we do 10, and the modulo operator is this percent sign. So 10%3, and then let's just print what that actually is. Okay, and let's run that, and we get a class of integer here. So this is an integer, and this here is, the result is 1 because 10 divided by 3, the quotient is 3 with a remainder of 1. Okay. All right. Now let's add some floats in here. So let's do print. We'll do the type. We'll do 10.0 modulo 3, and then let's print the result of 10 modulo 3.0. So we'll mix up the floats just to kind of give you a little bit of variety there. So here we have a float again because we have a float in this operation. All right. Anytime there's a float in the operation, even if the other number is an integer, you're going to get a float. Okay. And then here we get the result of 1, but 1.0. So it's 1 written as a float, which makes sense. It correlates to the type. I think that's it for what I wanted to cover for integers and floats and how Python handles the arithmetic between integers and floats. Hopefully this video was helpful to you. If it was, could you please give it a like, as it will help out the video a lot. Thank you.